A 9-year-old's hidden pain, a shocking true story from school. He was just 9 years old, quiet, distant, always alone. No one noticed the bruises until one teacher read the chilling words he wrote about home. What she uncovered would shock the entire school. In a small town nestled between the hills and dusty roads, there was a school that looked ordinary from the outside. Children laughed during recess, teachers taught with patience, and life moved on like any other place. But inside Class 4B, something was not quite right. Among the cheerful faces sat a boy named Kabir. He was 9 years old, thin for his age, with a quietness that seemed unusual for a child. He rarely smiled, never raised his hand, and always sat in the last row. His clothes were clean but worn, his eyes deep but distant. Most teachers thought he was just shy. Some even believed he wasn't very bright. Other kids didn't bother much with him. He spoke only when spoken to, never joined games, and often stared out of the window during lessons, as if his mind was somewhere far away. But Ms. Aisha, the new class teacher, noticed something different. She had taught for over a decade and had seen all kinds of students: loud, naughty, brilliant, difficult. But Kabir's silence wasn't normal. It wasn't the quiet of a child lost in thoughts. It was the quiet of someone hiding something. One day, after class, she walked up to his desk. "You didn't write anything on your worksheet today," she said gently. Kabir looked down. "I'm sorry, ma'am." "Is something wrong?" she asked. He shook his head quickly. "No, ma'am." But his hands trembled slightly, and she noticed a small bruise near his wrist. It was faint, the color of a fading storm, but it was there. The next day, she paid closer attention. During lunch, Kabir didn't eat. He took out an empty box and pretended to chew. When the other kids played outside, he stayed in the classroom, quietly doodling in his notebook pictures of houses, always with one window broken and rain falling inside. Ms. Aisha decided to call his guardian. The number on file led to his uncle. When she asked about Kabir's parents, there was a pause. Then came the answer: his mother had passed away 2 years ago. His father was not around much. That night, Ms. Aisha couldn't sleep. Something about Kabir's eyes haunted her, eyes that were too old for a boy so young. The next morning, she brought him a sandwich. He looked at it, surprised. "You can eat it," she smiled. He hesitated, then took a bite. He didn't speak, but something in his posture softened, as if someone had finally seen him. Days turned into weeks. Ms. Aisha continued to watch, to care, to notice. She never pushed him to talk, but always made him feel safe. Slowly, Kabir started to respond. He smiled once in a while, nodded more confidently, and even asked for a second sandwich one day. Then, one afternoon, during an assignment where students had to write about their family, Kabir handed in a page that stunned her. It read, "My mother was soft like pillows. She used to sing to me. When she went away, I started hearing shouting. My father gets angry when I speak. He doesn't like noise. So, I stopped talking. If I make a mistake, he says it's my fault she's gone. He hits me sometimes, but not too hard. I try to be good. I don't cry because he hates crying. At night, I pretend I'm in school. I like it better there." Ms. Aisha sat frozen, the paper shaking slightly in her hands. The next steps were not easy. But she took them. The principal was informed. Child Protection Services were contacted. Investigations began. The truth came out: Kabir had been living in an abusive household, silenced by fear, blamed for things no child should carry. Eventually, Kabir was placed in a safe foster home. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. He was free to laugh, to speak, to be a child again. Months later, he sent a letter to Ms. Aisha. In shaky handwriting, he wrote, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. I like my new home. I have a dog now. His name is Toffee. I talk to him a lot. And I draw pictures of happy houses. All the windows are fixed. Sometimes, the deepest pain wears the quietest face. Not every child who smiles is okay. Not every child who stays silent is shy. And sometimes, the ones hurting the most are sitting right in front of us, hoping someone will notice. This is not just Kabir's story. It's a reminder. A reminder to look closer. To ask gently. To care deeply. Because one small act of kindness, one sandwich, one smile, one safe moment can be the beginning of a child's healing.